Welcome to Lakers Reign, the podcast of the Los Angeles Lakers.
I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause. I get everyone involved.
Get access behind the purple curtain for an exclusive look into the championship pedigree of Los Angeles, the lifestyle, the music, the vibe. Here's your host, Nick Hamilton.
Single shot of whiskey, fuck you, make it double. All my people with me always making trouble.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Lakers Reign as we make it rain with purple and gold on and off the court. I'm your host, Nick Hamilton, and yes, there's been a lot going on in Lakerland. Now, last Thursday, we talked about the potential what the Lakers could come out, how they're going to set the tone, and yes, they laid an egg against the rival Los Angeles Clippers, better known as the Hallway Series. And Lonzo Ball didn't have the best debut. He struggled. He was 1 for 6 shooting. He had a tough night against a premier defender in Patrick Beverley. You saw some flashes of what he could potentially do, but Patrick Beverley was all over him like a hungry man at a smorgasbord. All right, there was no answer for Patrick Beverley at all. He just made it rough and tough for Lonzo Ball. Brandon Ingram didn't have the greatest game. Larry Nance Jr. looked pretty well against the Clippers, but the Clippers look like the veteran team. The Lakers look like the young team, the little brother that's struggling to beat big brother. And it's going to be peaks and valleys. As I said on this podcast numerous times, it's going to be peaks and valleys with this team this year. It is an 82-game season. It's a long season. So you're going to have to be patient. There is no microwave process. There's no instant gratification here. It is a process. I know the Sixers like to use that moniker, but it is so apropos to this team. Because guess what? You're going to see great nights and you're going to see horrific nights. And you're going to see average nights. It's all going to balance out. But then the great thing about the NBA, you have a thing called back-to-backs. They traveled to Phoenix, played against the Phoenix Suns, who are also struggling, and there was absolutely no defense in there. I mean, this was just a complete all-star game type of shootout. Who's going to score the most and how many points are we going to score? And they combined for 262 points. Now, Lonzo looked a lot better in his second game, which had the remnants of what Summer League was like for him as it pertained to what he had to accomplish. He almost had a triple-double. Lonzo had 29 and 11, 9 assists, but Brandon Ingram also stepped up big time with 25 points, which is now his new career high. Kyle Kuzma had 15 that night. And Brook Lopez looked well. He looked like the double-double machine that we were accustomed to with 19 and 11. So the Lakers got their first win of the season in Phoenix. Fast forward, the next game they had to play was against the New Orleans Pelicans, which we knew the Twin Towers, better known as Boogie Cousins and Anthony Davis, were not going to come in here and play timid at all. And for 3 quarters, the New Orleans Pelicans made sure that they let the Lakers know who they were, and they were coming to stomp all over them. And that's exactly what they did. They looked like the Monstars from Space Jam. Until the fourth quarter, where guys started to wake up and said, we do not want to be a part of the Milk Carton All-Stars. We actually want to be in uniform and play. And they had a great fourth quarter comeback to a point. They led at one point by 3 points near the end of the fourth quarter. But as most young teams do, they still don't know how to close out games. And that's going to come with time. Lonzo didn't have the greatest game once again, but he did have 13 assists, which is really a great positive sign. Brandon Ingram didn't play well, but Jordan Clarkson and Kyle Kuzma coming off the bench played phenomenal. They each scored 20 points or more. And that's what you're going to need. We just have to find a way to bring these guys together and make it all gel. Luke Walton talked about Jordan Clarkson's performance. I tend to agree with him. I think Luke Walton had a great comment about Jordan Clarkson. He's going to be the key. Between him and Kyle Kuzma this season, they're going to be keys to Lakers victories, I think, down the stretch. KCP finally made his debut after he was suspended for 2 games, finished off with 20 points, which made Lonzo's job a little easier, which is why Lonzo had 13 assists as well. So let's take a listen to Luke Walton as he talks about impactful nature of Jordan Clarkson.
What I'm most proud about with Jordan is he's sticking with it, because he was struggling in training camp. He was struggling in the preseason. And he just kept working and working. He keeps working, and obviously he's had some nice, successful nights so far since the season started. But it's like anything. You get more reps at something, you get more comfortable with it. You trust in what we're trying to do, and he's naturally a scorer anyway. So he'll find his own shots throughout that. But it is good to see him start to come out the other side of the struggles he was having in the preseason.
There had been some talk about Julius not being happy with the fact that he wasn't in the starting lineup. And I've said this for a long time. I think Julius is one of the most talented guys, which he hadn't played like it. On Sunday night against the Pelicans, even though he came off the bench with 11 points, he played like it was a guy that he was on a mission. Like he wanted to play. His attitude definitely changed. His mentality changed dramatically on the court. And you can tell because it started even in shoot-around in practice the previous week.
Yeah, I thought it was the best game so far. I think like any player in this league, I think he's been a little frustrated that he wasn't starting. And tonight he looked to be, his energy level just seemed right tonight. I told him, look, it's not, you not starting, like that's our decision. So don't let those thoughts weigh you down. Like when you play is our call. So try to do your best, even if you're angry, to go in with a clear mind. And I think he's like any young player, free agent year, started most of his career. All of a sudden he's coming off the bench. That's not easy to handle.
That was Luke Walton talking about Julius Randle and the evolution of a positive mind state that Julius has taken on the role of possibly coming off the bench. And I've said this for a long time. I think Julius is one of the most talented guys on the Lakers. But when the hell is he going to figure out that his right hand and his right side works? He still has not mastered that. And that's always been the biggest knock on Julius Randle. It's not the fact that he can't play basketball, not the fact that his basketball IQ isn't high. It's the fact that he doesn't use what God has given him, his right hand. He's always going to the left. And if you're a defender, you're always going to say, you know what? I know how to trap him. So he's got to be more consistent with that right hand. He's got to have his mind right, absolutely. But the other thing, too, is these guys are going to gel. They have another tough test, against John Wall and the Washington Wizards. And if you thought Patrick Beverley was bad on Lonzo Ball, wait till you see John Wall. You guys remember his comments. And this is all due in part because of what LeVar Ball, better known as the Paul Heyman of basketball, likes to hype up and elevate his son. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you cross a certain particular line, saying that Lonzo Ball is better than guys that have won championships, guys that have been MVPs or MVP candidates, that's where the problem lies, because that's where the disrespect lies. And a lot of these guys feel slighted, and they should. You're going to tell me a kid that has never played a regular season of NBA basketball, you're going to tell me he's better than me, who has won an MVP, a guy that's won 1 or 2 championships, a guy that's a top 5 point guard in the NBA? Hell no. I wouldn't take that. So I don't blame Patrick Beverley. I don't blame Russell Westbrook, because, mind you, it's only going to get worse. Lonzo's the kind of kid, he just wants to play basketball. He wants to get acclimated to the NBA lifestyle. He wants to learn the game, get better. But the one thing about Lonzo Ball, and I'll talk to this about with our next guest, is the fact that Lonzo has got to stop playing so timid. He was entirely too timid against a defender like Patrick Beverley. He was timid against the Phoenix Suns. He was timid playing against the New Orleans Pelicans, and he looked timid against playing against the Washington Wizards. And until he starts to really come with that mindset, what we like to call in Lakerland that Mamba mentality, he's going to get pushed around. He's going to get knocked around. He's going to have to learn the hard way. And yes, he is talented, but his mentality has got to be right. That's the one thing I question even before the summer league. Is he going to be mentally strong enough to deal with the height of the NBA? Because it's already a target on your back. When you're the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 selected player in the NBA, you already have a target on your back. But then your dad doesn't help you when he's going out here being the Don King of basketball, hyping you up like we're going to every city, like we're about to fight a championship fight. Doesn't help. Now you added more pressure to Lonzo Ball and his development. One thing about it is Lonzo's definitely got to get in the weight room. He's too light in the seat. But I think as he continues to grow, as he continues to develop as a player, he's going to definitely get better. He's going to probably be, at some point, we all hope that he becomes a premier player, which I think he can definitely obtain if he continues to work at it. But this rookie season, guys ain't going for that. You got to go up against John Wall, Chris Paul, James Harden, Steph Curry, guys that have been in the league for a very long time. You might even have to go against a Dwayne Wade. Then what? They're not going to show you any mercy. But like I said, the Lakers, it's going to be a long season. We all have to be patient. It's a process. Don't freak out. Don't panic. They're going to be okay. This season will set the tone and will continue to elevate in Lakerland. And all the Laker faithful will look back on this year, a couple of years from now, and say, you know what? We wasn't sweating that year. Because they're going to be deep into the playoffs, if not in the NBA Finals at some point. But everything has a start. You start where? From the bottom, and you work your way up. So now we're on the bottom. We headed to the top. 0 to 100. So I want to bring in my next guest, who's kind enough to join us here on Lakers Reign. He's a staff writer for the LA Daily News. You can catch him all over the place. I mean, they got him filling in everywhere. He's almost like a short order cook for journalists. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Tarek Fattal. What's going on, Tarek? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate being on.
Appreciate you coming on, man. I mean, first of all, what's it like in LA now? Give us the tone of now the new era Lakers. I know everybody was happy when Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka became involved in upper management, and then Jeannie obviously took over as the owner to make the decisions. But what is the pulse to you just being in LA? Obviously grew up on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. What is the pulse from your perspective?
You know, I think it's obvious when you think about Lonzo Ball. You know, what sticks out to me with Lonzo Ball is the way he plays the game. Everyone moves so much more efficient when they're cutting. And let me tell you why. Because I think a guy like Lonzo Ball, if you really believe that when you're playing with a guard who isn't as unselfish as Lonzo Ball, when you make a cut or you set a screen or you're running down the court and you don't have the conviction to run hard because you really don't think you're going to get the ball, right, it's not as productive. Lonzo Ball, I think there's guys that cut, there's guys that move, and every time they do it, they literally think they're going to get the ball. And that's why I think in high school, in college, he was able to be so successful. Now here in the NBA, kind of to your buzz question, what I think is buzzing right now is it's very relatable to Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson made passing cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. He made unselfish basketball cool. Everyone at the park, was maybe wanting to dunk or shoot or score. But when Magic Johnson was playing growing up, you wanted to throw behind the back passes. You wanted to run fast, play fast. And that's kind of back with the Lakers now with Lonzo Ball. I think in regards to buzz, I'm thinking everyone's excited to see this fast-paced Showtime Laker 2.0, if you will. Not quite there because I don't think it'll ever get there, but you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. Everyone's expecting to see that, and Lonzo Ball's the spark for what they think that could be.
Now, the one thing I noticed is when we watched the Clippers game,
sure,
and of course Pat Beverly was all over it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like gravy on rice. And to me, that was a great test for Lonzo because it gave him an opportunity to say, look, I'm not going to just walk in here and somebody owes me something, I'm going to have to work for it. And I think it kind of made him change his mentality a tad bit because sometimes you really don't know what to expect if you've never been there before.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree. Sorry to interrupt that. I agree. I think there's a mixture of things that happened with Patrick Beverly. First team all defense. The guy's no slouch. So really, he may have done Lonzo Ball a favor.
Yeah.
Right out the gate. So he locks him up real tight and is physical with him. I mean, he's believes in none of the Lonzo hype, and I think that's it's just what you said. It gave him it did him a favor, because I also think it was kind of one of those things where there's so many other guards that Lonzo could play against, but the spotlight of someone like Patrick Beverley being so defensive, that's all he wants to do. He's not trying to score on you. All he wants to do is play defense.
Yeah.
And so I think it was the worst matchup for Lonzo Ball on his debut was Patrick Beverley, in my opinion.
It was terrible, because here's the thing. All this hype is surrounding you. Magic put his 2 cents in the bucket. LeVar Ball, a.k.a. Puffy Knight, because he likes to be all in the interviews, all on the newsreels talking, he hyped it up to 1,000. So now you got all this added pressure on you, and guys are feeling slighted, whether they admit it or not. I mean, can you imagine if I'm Steph Curry? I'm a 2-time MVP. I'm a 2-time champion. And you're going to say that this kid is better than me right now? Now, if you said 5 years down the line, 7 years down the line.
Maybe.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as bad, because you're kind of projecting what could happen. And we all do that. In this industry, we all could do projections of what potentially could happen or not happen.
Sure.
But to say right now that he's better than one of the top 5 point guards in the NBA, you've lost your mind.
Yeah, more than ambitious.
And it makes it harder because Lonzo strikes me as the kind of kid that said, look, I want my game to do my talking. I don't really want to be a part of the media circus. I'll be a part of it because that's my role. I'm in LA. It's a premier franchise like the Lakers. But he seems like a young man that says, you know what? I just want to play ball, learn the game, do what I need to do, get my teammates involved. I may have 4 points, but I can have 20 assists and 9 rebounds. And those are the types of games that seems like he wants to happen. He wants to be more of a facilitator.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I look at Lonzo, when I look at Brandon Ingram, and to me, Brandon Ingram in his second year is still inconsistent.
I think he's the Lakers' biggest question mark. We can get to that a little later.
But you know what? And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think I've said this from day one. I think Brandon Ingram is going to be a star, because I like the way that he approaches the game. And I think Magic said this too on an interview. He said, you know what? We told Brandon Ingram, when you go in the post, go straight up, go at him. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the call your way. Go at him. You're 6'10". You grew. You added, 10, 11, 12 pounds of mass. Like, you grew.
Right.
Use that body that God has given you. Use it for the good.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram, man, when I watched him the first couple of days, now listen, I think a lot of people thought, okay, Brandon Ingram has finally arrived. I mean, he did so well in the summer league, but I'm always very critical of performances in the summer league, but not for rookies. Rookies that perform in the summer league, that's very, very good. It's a great sign. But second-year players that play in the summer league, I mean, Jaylen Brown for the Celtics killed the summer league. Well, yeah, you just got done playing a whole year in the NBA. You're kind of supposed to, the majority, 90% of the guys playing in the summer league don't make rosters.
Right.
So you're talking about a couple star rookies with a mixture of second-year players that should be performing. So Ingram did do that. Fantastic. But here we are in the first 3 games. He played well against Phoenix, but everyone seems to be playing well against Phoenix right now, and I'm not trying to rain on his parade. But, hey, fair enough. Hey, you got to do it. No big deal. But in regards to Brandon Ingram, I just think when he's trying to create a shot, he takes a lot of contested shots, Nick, and that's because I don't think he has his dribble is not concise enough, and frankly, he's not strong enough to create separation. And so when he does go to the lane, I agree with you, his length and his athleticism, he'll either score. There's nothing wrong with getting blocked. I really don't have if you're being aggressive,
just don't
you
get
blocked,
posterized.
Whatever. But I'm saying if he's going to the rim, he's either going to score or he's going to get fouled. And I think he's having a hard time getting to the cup because he can't shed any physicality. He's a larger question mark. Lonzo Ball is exactly what we all thought he would be already, in my opinion. I think he is a facilitator, like you said. He wants to get everyone involved. He wants to play fast. The one critique I would give for Lonzo Ball is when he attacks, he doesn't attack to score. He attacks to get other guys open. I think if he attacked to score more, he would be more effective. I think he attacks space, and tries to draw crowds, if you will, and make a pass. If he was attacking to score a little more, I think he'd be more effective.
I think also too we have to be patient with Brandon Ingram, because when you look at Brandon Ingram, he finally has a point guard that can do something. I mean, and that's no disrespect to D'Angelo Russell, but to me, Lonzo is a much more in-tuned point guard.
Absolutely.
Than D'Angelo was.
Yeah, no argument here.
When you look at Brandon Ingram, I mean, when I talked to him even at Media Day, and I said, what changed for you over the course of the summer? Because there was a new energy, there was a new aura about him, and he said, you know what? I worked out with a lot of my friends. I worked out with Kevin Durant. I'm going to be breaking down film with Kobe. Kobe's going to help me break down film. And those are the things, to me, are essential when you hear a young kid say something like that, like he wants to break down film. He's working with an NBA champion, probably the second best player in the NBA behind LeBron James. That, to me, I see those signs. And, some people are, slow learners. But when they get it, they get it. It's not like, oh, well, he learned it, okay. It's not like we're watching Dwight Howard, or it's not like we're watching Smush Parker.
Right.
God forbid. It's not like we're watching.
Great throwback name.
Yeah, that's blasphemous in Lakerland. But, when you look at the maturation, and like I said this on a previous show, there are going to be peaks and valleys. There are going to be times where they look great. There are going to be times when they look absolutely horrific. But it's a process. Because they're learning to gel together. Really, this is their first year together, as far as I'm concerned. Because they finally, you have Luke Walton, who has a year under his belt, as a head coach. He did great at Golden State, learning from Steve Kerr and learning from his dad, obviously, who was one of the NBA greats. Mm-hmm. And then him playing with a great like a Kobe Bryant, playing in the NBA himself. So he's adjusting from the player to the coach lifestyle. And then now he's finally having his own squad that he's building. He's kind of building from scratch. He has a lot of help, which is great, from the front office. So I think Luke Walton has learned quite a bit from year one going into year two, and I think he's getting the pieces that he needs really to be successful. And I think really that's why I say, to me, this is their first year.
Yeah, Luke Walton. I'm a little skeptical of Luke Walton, and not to say that he's not. Yeah, not and now I don't mind being critical.
Why are you skeptical?
Let me tell you why. In that first game, and by all means, the sample size is small, like you just said. He's only got a year under his belt. But a lot of what I've seen, even in their win, Nick, I just think he's not instructing as much as he could. And I know it sounds like, well, instruction, that's a college thing, that's a high school thing. The NBA guys, it's more about situations and matchups and so on and so forth. It's not as... For Luke Walton, I just think there are times where it looks like he is standing there and not giving instruction, and his team is always in a scramble, whether it be offensively or defensively. I think he could tighten the reins just a little bit, and not in a restricting way. I just think he's also learning in ways he needs to almost intervene sometimes, look at his young team and go, guys, all right, we need to do this. That's why sometimes I think things get a little too helter-skelter, and sometimes that's advantageous for teams, and maybe that's what the Lakers are trying to do, because that in Golden State, Luke Walton, all he knows right now is play fast. And
that's not
that young team, you can say that, you can kind of, and I'm not saying Luke is doing this, but, to roll the ball out and say play fast to the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry and some veteran players, that's one thing. To roll the ball out and say play fast to these young Lakers, you need a little more instruction.
Well, do you consider that to be Luke Walton, or is it the coaching staff that he selected? Because a lot of times, you could be a outstanding head coach, but sometimes it's the coaching staff that you have around you that may not be on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I looked at, not so much Luke Walton, because I think Luke can flourish as an NBA head coach. He just needs the pieces to be successful. And as they continue to grow, they're going to get those pieces. I looked at the selection because I thought that if I'm going to learn how to play defense, I would immediately call Michael Cooper.
Okay. Right. No,
I would have because he's had experience in the NBA. He's had success in the WNBA. This guy was a defensive nightmare. You thought Patrick Beverly was bad?
Right.
In the 80s? Look at that old film. Michael Cooper with the high socks?
I'm going to have to YouTube it.
Coop was that guy.
Right.
Coop was my dad used to go back and watch games that my dad would watch later on as I got older. He would always talk about Michael Cooper, and I'm like, everybody talks about Coop, but Coop was that guy defensively.
Sure.
And if you're going to get a person to teach these young guys defense, Michael Cooper should have been immediately on your list.
I think we can both agree defensively the Lakers have been lacking.
Oh, yeah. but they're young. They're still wet behind
Like I
the
said,
ears. They're
I'm
young.
critical of them. I'm not writing off Luke Walton by any means. I just think there are times where they're in dire scramble, and he needs to just pull in the reins a little bit. I think the team's asking for instruction. They're asking for instruction with their play, not vocally, right? They're like, hey, coach, help us out. But with the way they struggle sometimes, I just think there could be some more instruction from Luke Walton.
Well, you know what? The thing about it is, too, it's a learning process, even for a head coach.
That's what I'm saying. And like you said, the sample size is small.
Once you get certain players, if they happen to get a gentleman next year that happens to be from the 661 who always wants to play with the Lakers, does Gatorade commercials. You may get a person of royalty who calls himself a king. You may get that kind of individual. I think the dynamics change because now you have veterans,
right?
True veterans,
right?
That know, okay, we won. We were on the cusp of winning, but I've won multiple. I've been to the NBA Finals multiple times. So now you have to listen. Now as a young head coach, you have to listen to your veterans that are going to guide your young Cubs, so to speak,
right,
into the next level of making sure that you guys become champions and learn how to win. Again, as I said earlier, this is a young team that still has to learn how to close out games because on Sunday night when they played the New Orleans Pelicans, they should have easily won that game. And I think if a year from now, if that happened, they will learn how to close out a game. And in this league, you're going to have to learn how to close out games. Even against Washington, when John Wall is playing Lonzo tough, you can't come timid, man. You can't. And his teammates are going to have to also learn, hey, man, we got to come rough and tough. We can't just come out here and just, okay, we're laying the ball in, we're shooting, we look nice, we're glossy. No. This is a nose to the grindstone 82-game season, man. Right. And this is what we're going to have to learn. And I think as we continue throughout the season, we're going to learn more about the Lakers. We're going to learn more about the team. We're going to learn more about guys like Jordan Clarkson. Who's been the biggest surprise to you? We always talk about Jordan Clarkson finally finding his role. But to me, the guy, in my estimation, the guy would be Kyle Kuzma. And to you, who is the biggest surprise for this team?
Well, once again, like I alluded to earlier, Summer League, you can only look at it in with so much success. Kuzma had a great Summer League, a great preseason, but, he actually, there are times Luke Walton, I think, could put Kyle Kuzma in, give him some more run and really see if that confidence that he played with in the Summer League and in the preseason could come to life in the regular season. I haven't really necessarily seen a surprise. I think guys like Clarkson are in the role they should be. I think they're guys that play with their hair on fire. I think they're energy guys. He wants to score. He wants to be aggressive. That's great. I think a guy like Larry Nance is exactly what you need. Energy, rebounds, runs the floor hard, defensive guy. I mean, all these roles are, maybe that's my surprise, that guys are fitting into these roles, and that's really what they should be. Like I said, the Lakers are kind of waiting for Ingram to arrive, and, that's going to take time and so on and so forth. So, but going back to your point, Kuzma, I think we just need to see some more minutes.
I agree. I think that's why Julius Randle is acting so salty, or did act salty, because he felt like he should have been in that role, got more minutes than Kuzma. And to me, it's like, look, man, Kuzma is proving his worth. I mean, he had on Sunday, I believe he had 20 or 24 points coming off the bench, along with Jordan Clarkson. To me, that tandem with those two coming off the bench,
right,
as the season progresses, that could be something very, very interesting to look out for, because the Lakers could easily pull a surprise move on you. They can easily beat the Warriors once, and they could beat the Cleveland Cavaliers once. Don't ask me how, because remember last season, they blew the Warriors out when they came to L.A. by 20.
Little complacency there maybe, but I understand.
And they didn't have the squad that they have right now.
Right.
So can you imagine having the squad that they have now versus the squad last year? And they blew out the Warriors, who ended up going to win the NBA championship again. But they blew them out by 20. And I don't care who the NBA is the NBA. You have some teams that are obviously way better and clearly superior than others. But when you blow out a big-time team like the Golden State Warriors in L.A. by 20 points, that is something to pay attention to.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think the Lakers, like you said, they're going to have some key wins. They're going to have some bad losses, too. Like you said, there's going to be growing pains. There's no doubt. Lakers are an interesting dynamic, especially with Lonzo Ball, especially with Luke Walton. it's the storyline in Los Angeles right now. It's a young team. What's their ceiling? What's their potential? What can they accomplish? Can they make the playoffs? Can they not make the playoffs? Will they stay healthy? I mean, there's just so many. Magic Johnson. I mean, just goes on and on. There's so many storylines that could go either way.
You're listening to Lakers Reign podcast with my special guest from the LA Daily News, Tarek Fattal. So let me put you on the spot.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
How many games do the Lakers win this year?
Oh, man, I have one of our staff writers in the news group. We debate about this all the time. He actually thinks that the Lakers are going to win 41 games. I think he should check himself in. There's no way.
Your sodium levels sound a little high, man.
And I'm almost a little, these numbers are a little too high right now. But no, I think it's very possible. I put him between the 31 and 34 win mark.
Okay.
I don't think that is overzealous. I don't think that's knocking them. I believe they won 23 games. They were 17 the year before, and then I think 23 or 24, don't quote me on that, something like that last year. I think any type of improvement, I think the Lakers, even if they get to 30 wins this year, people are probably thinking, oh, man, you got to be kidding me. But that's what progress is. That is what progress is. You got a bunch of young players. So I'm going to say between that 31, 34 game mark, and I think that's fair.
They're going to have to defend the pick and roll a lot better. And I think that comes with time, but they're going to have to definitely work on that. But I put them at between 35 and 37 games this year. Yeah, I did. Because again,
that's almost 40 wins right there, man. That's a lot.
You're gonna have fluke games. Like I said earlier, they may be a Warriors team. They may be the Houston Rockets team on a given night.
Right.
You never know. I mean, teams come off back-to-backs. They're traveling. You may be sitting at home for 2 days. You're rested a little bit. You're at home. You're a lot more comfortable. You're not playing with the lemon booty all tight. You might be able to squeak out a win. Find a weakness in their armor and go exploit it. So I think, any given night, anyone could be beaten, obviously, but I think the Lakers are hungry. They really don't have a lot to prove, even though they do, because this season could be contingent upon who they get in the free agency in the offseason.
Absolutely.
But if they show a lot of promise, as you alluded to earlier, about going from 17 to 20 some odd games and then going into the 30s, that's progress. If you're a veteran or you're a guy that says, you know what, the Lakers have a lot of money to throw around, the question is, who do they keep and who do they let go? Because there is a potential that Julius Randle may not be re-signed. So if you're the Lakers, and we'll talk about this more in depth later, hey, do you potentially bag him up in a sign-in trade maybe? Do you add Luau Deng to that mix to try to clear out more cap
try
space?
To get rid of him, right? I
mean, there's so many possibilities that the upper management can do with the Lakers this year. It's ridiculous. I mean, you have so much money that you can work with. And if you get certain free agents that don't take max deals, because I think a lot of guys are following the LeBron trend of, you know what, I'm going to take a 2-year deal, or I'll take a 3-year deal, and I'll opt out after 3 years.
Continue to give themselves options.
Exactly. And I think as long as you have that, and the money's going to continue to increase because the TV money. So you're going to get the salary cap to increase so much.
Yeah, the money's never going to stop growing.
Absolutely not.
I think that's you may have actually hit the nail on the head. That's probably the biggest difference with the Lakers right now, and it's the management. You got Magic, you got Pelinka, and they kind of had this impromptu, not a lot of time offseason. Things just changed. The draft was right around the corner. So I kind of give this first offseason somewhat of a pass, if you will. But this next offseason, a lot of big free agents, a lot of big fish to reel in. And can Magic and Pelinka and some of the assets the Lakers have, can they reel in a big fish?
Here's the thing about
we don't know, and so that I just think we could be in for as optimistic as people are in Los Angeles. I would not be surprised if it doesn't come to fruition.
Well, here's the thing about that. I think Magic can, because there are a lot of players that respect Magic.
Absolutely.
They'll even take his call, even if they may not sign with the Lakers.
They'll sit down with them.
They'll sit down with Magic. They'll sit down because they respect Magic. They know even if they're not too familiar with his playing career, they understand what he means to the NBA. And so there's a reverence there. There's a respect level there that a lot of these players will say, you know what, I'll take a call. I may not sign with the Lakers, but I'll at least take this Magic Johnson, dude. That's like not taking Michael Jordan's call.
Right.
So you're going to take – before the Lakers didn't have that advantage.
Correct.
Under the old regime.
Right.
Now they have that. Now they have a young guy in Rob Pelinka who has enormous amounts of relationships with guys because he's been an agent, he's been around, he knows other agents. So he's developed that chemistry, that relationship that can get players that probably wouldn't even give the Lakers a second thought before. Now you have guys that would strongly consider coming to LA, not just because it's LA, but because you have an organization that's in the process of elevating to that next plateau, and you want to be a part of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I agree, but I do also think that it's not a sure thing either. It's not a sure thing, and I think with today's climate in regards to social media, the way you can promote yourself. I mean, the smallest NBA market is Oklahoma City, and they got 3 big-time stars, and we don't know what they're going to do. But my point is, although you may see Lakerland being the ultimate destination, you have small market teams like Oklahoma City that can compete now. And so with certain, I'm just saying, man, I don't want to jinx the Lakers, but
yeah, because that's what you sound a little salty right now. You sound a little unsure about yourself, man, about the Lakers' future.
I'm not unsure about myself at all.
When it comes to the Lakers,
yeah, I agree. I would agree with that. Like, yes, I'm unsure about their future because there seems to be this hole that they can't quite climb themselves out of.
But remember, this was with the old regime.
We just talked about it. I get it.
I'm saying there's the level of optimism that we haven't seen in years. And I think if anybody can close a deal, you want to have Magic Johnson in your corner. It's almost like having Kenley Jansen for the Dodgers.
Oh, no.
You want to have that top closer. Even though Kenley is no guarantee Kenley's going to be Kenley every single night for the Dodgers, you do want Kenley Jansen as your closer if you're trying to close out a game.
Right.
You want Magic as your closer.
Right. And I'm not, I don't know if you're a soccer guy or anything. We don't have to go into this at all, but it's like when the U.S. didn't qualify for the World Cup,
right? It
was no surprise to me, brother. I'm just being dead honest with you. I was the one saying, what's everyone panicking about? So I'm just saying, Lakers, next season, they don't sign that big guy. I'm going to be there saying, well, I'm not exactly surprised.
I tend to agree with you because nothing is guaranteed, like you said, in today's climate with the area of social media, the area of marketing and marketing yourself as a player, as an athlete. I do think, though, I have more optimism than I did a year or two ago.
And you should.
And I think a lot of fans do, too, because of who's there. Obviously, at the top being Jeannie, and then it trickling down to Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson and so forth. But I do think athletes are more about business. And if you're trying to be a billionaire athlete, and you're a multi-millionaire athlete already, and if you want to be a billionaire athlete, then why not connect with the most prestigious billionaire franchise in all of sports?
Right.
So I think more players are looking at it now, as we talked about the 2-year and 3-year deals. They're not looking at it per se like for championships. I mean, I think a lot of players want to win championships, but they're looking at it from more of a business standpoint. Like, what can I do post-NBA career? They're setting – a lot of these young guys are getting smarter because they're surrounding themselves with a lot of smarter people. So I think they're looking at it from a business standpoint first, and then they'll look at it from, okay, well, how do I fit in this offense, or how will I acclimate myself to this coaching style or what have you. But I think more people, because of guys like Kobe Bryant, because of the LeBron Jameses of the world, guys looking more of the business aspect first, when before it used to be, hey, can I play with this guy? Am I cool with this coach? Can I play in their system? Okay, yeah, let's go. Right. No matter what team it was.
Right.
I think now it's more about business, and I think Magic Johnson not only represents the athlete's side of it on the court, but I think he represents the business side. And I think a lot more guys are getting smarter. So that's why I'm less inclined to say I'm going to be surprised if they don't sign a big name free agent because of all of those factors versus them not.
Right. No, I'm with you. I think the last thing I'll say on that one is it's the league is turning into a collaborate league. And so I will say this about the Lakers. If they can hook a fish that other fish like, then they're gonna be. But it's about getting that one. It's about getting that one guy. And I there are points that you just made that I agree, and I also disagree too. Players want to play with people they like, and as far as business and everything, absolutely could not agree with you more. But guys want to play with people they like, and I think that's a large reason why the Lakers at the end of their career. And sorry to all the Kobe fans out there, a lot of people didn't want to play with Kobe in the latter end of his career, and so I just think that's why they couldn't get those free agents. I'm not saying that's going on right now with the Lakers, but you get one guy that everyone wants to play with With the collaborate league that we're in right now, the NBA is a collaborated league right now. Everyone wants to play with each other. Hey, I think you're going to be in good shape.
Now, you know I'm not going to let you leave out of here talking about Kobe like that.
Okay,
How dare you?
Now we're getting good. Now it's getting good.
Yeah, you know I'm not. Here's the thing, though. I think Kobe had something to do with that. But I think in large part it had to do with upper management. I think the direction of the team, because the team had no direction. Mitch Kupchak, Jim Buss at the time, they didn't display a direction. They did not display a way where they were going to do post-Kobe, how they were going to build the team as Kobe was getting older. They were going to build the team up. If you look at the Boston Celtics, they were preparing for Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, either leaving or getting older.
Post-era.
Right,
exactly.
I
totally get
Post-Three
you.
Amigos.
Right.
So I think Danny Ainge, and this is blasphemous for me to say, but I have to give him
he's
truth.
Good at his job, man.
He's cool at his job.
Yeah.
I'll put it that
you don't have to
way.
give him too much
Yeah,
credit.
he's cool at his job, but he prepared.
Sure.
So you got guys like a Jay Crowder, you got a Tatum, you have guys at the time, you had Isaiah Thomas that you picked up. You had guys, now you have a Kyrie Irving. You have guys with all these draft picks. You selected a young coach in Brad Stevens who nobody thought was going to amount to anything and led a team to an Eastern Conference Finals. You have you selected all these number one picks. And people thought you were crazy. Like, why you stockpiling all these number one picks? But now you see why.
Right.
You got to, unfortunately, hopefully he can come back, but you had a Gordon Hayward that you acquired to join the Boston Celtics. So they prepared, and that's why eventually Boston is going to be one of those teams in the Eastern Conference that are going to be really, really relevant and it be a force to be reckoned with, especially if they get one more guy that they need to fill out that roster. The Lakers in the old regime didn't do that. So a lot of the blame went to Kobe. First of all, Kobe was absolutely right to take that money. If somebody offered me $50 million, I'm taking the money. I don't care if I'm scoring 2.2 points a game.
Now,
I'm going to take the money.
He earned the money, and just to quickly intervene for a second, I'm of the opinion, guys like LeBron James, first of all, LeBron James' primary employer is not the Cleveland Cavaliers.
No.
Right. So my point is, when I there's so many people out there that say, non-basketball people, non-sports people, they go, oh my word, why do these athletes get paid so much money? And my argument is always, guys like Kobe, guys like LeBron, the economic boom they create for their franchise, for their city, for their community. Every restaurant, every game night is packed. I mean, you could go on and on about the economic boom that is created from a guy like LeBron James in Ohio, right? He's getting a fraction of that with his NBA salary. In fact, you could argue he's being underpaid, right? So,
absolutely.
So trust me, when people say Kobe should have never taken that money, I completely disagree with them. Continue.
No, I mean, and I say that's why I think Kobe got too much blame for guys not wanting to come here, because I don't think it was totally Kobe why they didn't come here. I think he may have been a part of it. But I think the larger part was what direction, like you said earlier, what direction is this team going in? Can I play with this team? Can I play with these guys? Are they serious about winning? Because if they're not serious about winning, why am I coming here? Just because it's LA? Who gives a care? Like you said, there's OKC, there's Golden State, there is the Greek Freak in Milwaukee.
Right.
You have
potential MVP candidate.
Cleveland. Of all, for God's sakes, Cleveland.
And everyone wants to go there. Why?
Because of one particular individual, but because that individual told them, if I come back, we're taking this franchise to another level, or I'm not coming back. I'm gonna stay in South Beach. That's what happened. And so when you have a guy like you said, you have to land that one big fish, and I think they can land that big fish. It's just how will they land that big fish?
It's a domino effect. Once they get once the first guy,
the first guy.
Once they get that first guy, it'll come through. But it might be tougher than we all think to land that guy.
It's not going to be a piece of cake.
But having Magic and Pelinka, back to your point, that's only advantageous.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a win-win for Laker fans. I mean, we're waiting to see this team get back to glory. We're tired of seeing, and no disrespect to any other team, but we're tired of seeing Golden State and Cleveland and the Miami Heats of the world and all of these other teams get to that place where we know we can get to if we had the right pieces in place. I mean, you had the OKC Thunder, when it was him and Kevin Durant, when Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, they were going to the Western Conference Finals. And I'm saying, wait a minute. What did they do that was so spectacular in a small market get to that point? Because they had smart people. They had Sam Presti as their GM.
Oh, yeah.
They had a guy that's willing to roll the dice as we see this season.
Presti could be GM of the year like
he
now.
Could be.
Like we don't have to wait for the rest of the year.
But I'm waiting to see Rob Pelinka be GM of the year.
Sure.
If they make the right moves, he can easily be GM of the year.
Right.
With his connections, with his knowledge of the game, and with a guy like Magic Johnson next to him, he could easily be GM of the year, making the same types of moves. So now we have an opportunity to experience that. Now, will we? I believe we will. When? I have no clue.
Yeah, yet to be determined.
Nope. Listen, as long as they don't say names anymore of players, they'll be good. And I think they learned that lesson. It's going to be a fun season. Everybody needs to kick back, relax, enjoy the season for what it is. It is a rebuilding year. And these are young guys that are looking to find their way, find their space, and try to have some fun in the meantime. And that's what we all have to do. The Lakers are not going to be great for a while, but it's a process. And you have to go through it. You have to go through, as my great uncle used to say, you have to go through crap to come out smelling like a rose. So right now they're going through crap, but eventually they're going to smell like a rose. And we'll all, as I said earlier, we'll all forget about this year. Man, you remember that time when the Lakers were actually trying to, come back? We'll talk about that. That may be a 30 for 30. Who knows?
Right.
It's going to be fun. And I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to thank our guest from the LA Daily News, Tarek Fattal. Thank you, man, for all your insight and your commentary. We appreciate it, man. Definitely have to have you come back on, man, later.
We'd love to.
Mid-season, maybe closer to your prediction.
We'll
maybe
see. In the offseason, I might be the guy you need to call up.
No, I'm going to call you after the All-Star break because you may be onto something.
Okay.
If it's close to what you said it was, you may be onto something.
Okay, I appreciate it.
But so thank you so much. And I like to say to Laker fans, thank you so much for tuning in to the Lakers Reign podcast. You can check us out on Twitter at Lakers Reign Pod. You can also catch us on Instagram at Lakers Reign Pod. Also, make sure you check us out every week at LakersReign.com. That's LakersReign.com. Hit me up on Twitter at Nick Hamilton LA. Until next time, make it a great one and always make it count.
You've been listening to Lakers Reign. Thanks to the Los Angeles Lakers, executive producer Pete Turner, producer John Leon Guerrero, musical director DJ Severe, and your host Nick Hamilton. Intro track On the Ball by Bryce Vine. We'll see you next time on Lakers Reign.